In 1805, the township of Mercer, Pennsylvania, recorded a woman known only as Ada. She was tallied once by a traveling census enumerator assigned to the Elk Hollow perimeter. She offered no surname, no birth year, no occupation. She answered each question before it was asked, and once the form was complete, she did not wait for dismissal. She walked back into the tree line. The entry was kept, duplicated twice. In both copies, the handwriting matches, but the age field does not. One lists her as 23. The other reads, "Cannot age." No further clarification was issued. No corrections filed. 18 years later, a tax record from Lawrence County bore a near identical entry. Ada, female, no property, exempted from land tithe due to non-placement. The same name. The same looped A in script. The ink, when tested in 1912, was found to contain trace elements not in use until 3 decades later. The sheet had browned with age, but the strokes over her name were still wet to the touch. Her first appearance in official records remains the Mercer Township Enumeration Ledger, Volume 2, Folio 173. Female, estimate between 20 and 30. No family attached. Declined parish registration. Signature, Ada. The enumerator's field sheet includes a marginal note in graphite. Residence unnumbered. Structure appears sound. Hearth unlit. No scent of smoke. No shadows present. His travel manifest, listing all households surveyed that month, bears one scratch-out. Line 13, struck in ink beside the words, "Recount not advised." She was already known. The dwelling, stone-walled, roof of hand-cut slate, appears in no local land records. Its foundation was never taxed. In a 1805 property map revised by cartographer Calvin Loff, the site is drawn with an outline but labeled "No Parcel Assigned." His note at the bottom margin reads, "Structure holds shape but not time." The regional census director, in a summary dated November 6, 1805, remarked, "One entry refused consolidation, copied 3 times, still lacks date of entry. Subject remained still for the full duration of inspection. Responded without breath. No visible blinking." When Ada was revisited in the 1810 census attempt, her home was found, but vacant. The door stood open. Firewood stacked inside remained dry despite rainfall. No signs of inhabitation. Yet a fresh candle burned low on the mantel. No wax trail, no wick ash, no flame, just heat. The enumerator made no new entry, but in the bottom margin of his field sheet, scrawled sideways and almost illegible in the seam, "Not gone, just not countable today." At the time, acceptable grounds for exclusion from civil enumeration included infirmity, moral defect, relocation beyond parish bounds, or failure to comply with testimony. Unfixed in placement was not a category. The census log for that quarter, bound in red-dyed hide and kept in the hand of Registrar Timothy Welks, lists the entry as "No issue, clerical confirm," but beside the field "Residence justification," a faint correction appears, bracketed in red graphite. The annotation, initialed TW, reads, "Not recognized phrase, possibly copied in error." The census card itself remained unsigned at its base. A check mark, fainter than the inked lines and angled leftward, appears beside the word "approved." No enumerator claimed authorship. A letter from the Colonial Enumeration Committee, dated January 18, 1806, requested clarification. The county's reply included a copy of the log page and a brief note from Assistant Scribe Matthew Rill. No complaint filed, no acts of obstruction, female subject observed to comply, remain still and require no redirection. Entry confirmed by Mr. Bell, no second witness, no catechism recorded. Notably, Rill's summary omits the word used on the form, unfixed. It suggests the term was either inserted at a later time or had no proper channel for entry. When asked under oath in 1827, during the Bureau's review of unresolvable census anomalies, Rill stated, "I do not recall forming that word, nor assigning it to any entry. I would not have used a word without scriptural precedent." His statement was accepted. No correction was made. In 1839, a box of misfiled enumeration slips from Mercer and adjoining counties was transferred to the state census vault in Harrisburg. Inside was the Ada card. The return reason field had been struck through in slate, and above the erasure, a different hand had penciled "inconclusive." A marginal note in the back of the form, faint and written in blue, reads, "Red pigment beneath, possibly altered." Infrared scanning in 1946 confirmed the original graphite, now embedded below surface layers, read, "unfixed." No other record from 1790 to 1850 uses the term in a demographic context. A linguistic inquiry made in 1972 found no evidence of its use as euphemism, dialect, or administrative phrase in any Pennsylvania regional document of the era. On the reverse of the card, tucked into the seam of a narrow fold, a single line appears sideways in pale brown ink, written by a hand not matching the front. She could not be listed. She only echoed. A transfer sheet, dated March 1806, records the reassignment of the Ada subject to Rural Holding, Township 3, Parcel 51. The family name listed was Dunn. First names Elias and Margaret. Occupation, parchment makers. A check mark is visible beside the field labeled "Fostered Presence Confirmed." Ada's name appears simply as A, truncated mid-letter. The intake field is left blank. The page bears a half-pressed wax seal, now fragmented. The crest is illegible. The Dunn family does not appear in any known parish list, land deed, or tax ledger before or after that year. The deed for Parcel 51, dated 1801, lists a former occupant, Matthew Gorin, deceased, estate sealed, due to structural loss by sinking. The lot was never resold. The ledger's 9th line ends mid-sentence, followed by 3 blank lines. A faint side note reads, "No claimant, awaiting revision." In April 1806, An enumerator assigned to Township 3 visited Parcel 51. His field log notes: structure partial, foundation shifted, no door, chimney without soot, firewood dry, no occupant. A small square was drawn to mark the structure's shape, labeled only with one word: unrealized. The line "female fostered" was checked, then crossed out. A month later, a clerk at the State Office for Civil Resettlement filed a complaint regarding the Ada placement. The Dunn household had failed to submit a mandatory visitation log within the required 30-day window. A note was appended to the ledger entry: subject pending reassign. Await confirmation of location or contact. No confirmation ever arrived. The regional office maintained the subject had been lawfully moved. A reply filed by Assistant Recorder Bromes stated, "Courier confirms receipt. Transit completed. Subject left jurisdiction on date affirmed." The corresponding courier log was never found. Only a payment stub remained. Amount: $72, issued to B. Detch for single passenger transfer, full fare. No additional entries are associated with that courier name. The record ends there. In a school roster dated autumn 1806 from St. Mirth's Academy for the Hillborn District, a name appears once: Ada L. Age: none listed. Attendance: 3 days. The name is crossed out. A side notation in different ink reads, "No guardian. Girl vanished." A teacher's marginal note at bottom corner: voice never raised. Not sure she arrived. When the Jefferson District Census Archive was merged with the Pennsylvania Civic Anomaly Bureau in 1937, the 2 portraits of Ada, retrieved independently from the Mercer County reassignment file and the Township 3 ledger, were catalogued in parallel folios. During intake digitization, an archival assistant marked the duplication. Measurements aligned. Her posture did not vary. The lighting, though sourced from 2 separate parish studios, struck the cheek at identical angle. Even the threadbare fold in the left collar, faint but intact, appeared in both. No birth affidavit accompanied the 1806 reassignment folio. The intake form left the fields for kin, origin, and baptismal name empty. The child remained in provisional custody for 16 days before being listed as mute female, not fixed, and transferred to the Laurel Hollow Parish Workhouse under standard hold classification. A transfer request document dated April 6th bears the signature of Warden Elias R. Marsh and a co-signature attributed to Overseer J. Tomble. In later testimony, Tomble denied authoring the mark. The ink differs from his prior entries, and the capital T forms a curl not found in his usual script. At Laurel Hollow, Ada was assigned a cot in the south dormitory. A nurse's observation log describes her as compliant, though unnervingly quiet. Appetite poor. No speech initiated, but blinked regularly when addressed. A marginal notation in pale graphite on the weekly health card reads, "Skin cool to the touch. No fever. Does not perspire." She was not enrolled in instruction or scripture readings, instead placed in light textile tasks. Her record includes no infractions, no reported injury, and no conversation. A matron's memo, undated but preserved among linen requisitions, includes the line, "Only noticed her once the sheets were folded. Cot always neat. No sound." In November 1806, her name was removed from the active workhouse roster. No release parchment, no transfer docket, no incident report. A red chalk dash occupies the final status box. The only surviving annotation, "File retained. Subject recoded." Her portrait remained filed until 1918, when the Civil Bureau initiated a document restoration sweep. A reviewer noted the photograph had not faded. The paper had not yellowed. The wax affixing was still malleable. Compared again to the prior image taken in Township 3, no difference was detected. Lighting, shadow, and angle were exact. At the bottom of the second file, pressed without ink, likely from contact pressure, are 4 faintly indented words: "Confirmed, not elapsed." The inmate was reclassified numerically only. Code 157. No surname, no stated origin, no behavioral docket attached. The earliest mention appears in the Laurel Hollow Dorm Register, dated April 8, 1806. Listed age 9. Behavior passive, speech absent. The image affixed beneath the entry, preserved beneath thin glass in the warden's report book, shows a young girl seated stiffly, hands folded, face turned slightly left, with an unreadable stillness. The crease in her collar matches that in the 1805 photo from the enumeration archive. Workhouse staff rotated quarterly. Across 11 different handwriting samples from dormitory logs, the pattern remained. No speech, no injury, no infraction, no variance. A night monitor wrote in 1807, "Wakes before check, eyes open at 4 a.m. Meal records note erratic intake, bread untouched, broth stirred, but no visible malnutrition. Health charts from 3 consecutive winters list no weight change." A nurse noted in fading ink, "Skin unbroken, cool but not ill, nails smooth, breathing shallow, no cough, does not sleep." Despite recommendations for reclassification, her status remained unchanged for 14 years. Teachers filed religious exemption forms citing unresponsive pupil, unsiv. Civic psychologists rotated annually. Their assessments varied. Still cognition, unmoving volition, perceptive silence. Fugue-like restraint. None triggered removal or discharge. In 1818, Warden Giles Terrick stated in his final annual report, "Subject 157 remains neutral, no unrest, no name filed." His successor, Adlai Fern, testified under oath that during a routine bed rotation in 1821, he attempted to reassign cot 12 to another youth. Upon removal, the bedclothes resisted folding. Beneath the linen, he noted indentations, not dust, but deep parallel ridges, as though someone had lain there continuously without motion. He left the cot untouched. No sketch was made. The last recorded mention appears in a maintenance inventory dated February 1824. Frame marked as vacant. No departure noted. No inked change. 3 blank lines follow. Beneath, in red wax pencil, 1 line appears, offset from the usual margin. Held open, no closure warranted. And when the file was reviewed for indexing in 1954, the intake folder was missing. In its place, archivists found an envelope marked non-civic, inactive. Inside, 1 blank record card. Across the top, 3 pressed indentations, not ink, just impressions, faint but readable under graphite dusting. Present, not present, still counted. The entry was preserved in the Jefferson County F. The page lists the child only as female, no parentage, COM team, Provisional Order 14B. A note. Placement suitability confirmed 3 lines beneath. The no reservations recorded by household. That now in the ledger. It was circled during a 1908 review prompted by an anonymous inquiry into irregularities in Laurel Hollow's early intake records. As part of that investigation, former clerks were contacted to verify past assignments. Enoch Belton, retired and residing in a boarding home in eastern Lancaster, submitted a sworn statement on February 19, 1909. I never approved a placement under that designation. If my name is on that order, it was not written by me. Investigators compared his known handwriting, pulled from wills, land transfers, and marriage filings from the 1800s. Belton's long E and the way his N looped into the next character matched across 42 of 42 samples. The signature on the Winslow order was a match. Every stroke, every curve. Belton was shown a facsimile. According to the record, he examined the page silently for nearly 4 minutes before saying, I don't remember this girl, but that is my hand. When asked if his memory could have failed, he answered, This isn't forgetting. This is absence. That order never rested on my desk. I know what it feels like when paper has weight. His testimony was filed under Objection 6D. No revision was made to the entry. A marginal notation was added by archivist M. Rutley in 1910. Signature authenticated. Timeline disputed. Rutley's own daughter would die in Laurel Hollow Infirmary 9 years later. In November 1911, the Jefferson Courthouse initiated a 2-month furnace overhaul. The iron furnace beneath the southeast annex, installed in 1858 and unused since 1899, was scheduled for removal. During the excavation of its subfloor, workers discovered a recessed cavity beneath the ash chute. Inside, embedded tightly between stone and oak beam, was a metal box, scorched at its edges. No stamp, no serial, no name. The lock was rusted inward. When forced open, it revealed a leather-bound ledger, cracked at the spine, unmarked on the cover. Only 4 pages remained. The first 3 were waterlogged, warped, and blank. The 4th bore 1 entry. Subject: female, minor, Winslow. Placement status: compatibility. Suspended. The handwriting was mechanical, detached, closer to census register font than human longhand. No intake code, no date, no clerical initials, no witness seal. The ledger was brought to Clerk R. Harwood, who logged the discovery but labeled it non-canonical, a term used for unindexed documents with no supporting origin file. In his private log, dated December 7, 1911, Harwood wrote, "This format is unauthorized, not present in any intake templates, no county header, no clerical structure, and yet there is intent." He did not destroy the document. Instead, it was shelved, Vault A, Shelf 9, under Miscellaneous Holdings, Furnace Stone Origin. In 1913, a state archivist reviewing Foster transfer ledgers noted an inconsistency. Jefferson Foster Volume 2 ends at page 317, but the binding contains 318 leaves. The final page is unlined, except for faint bleed-through ink impressions, square-edged, consistent with long-term compression against hard cover stock. In the registry margin, a hand-wrote note reads, "Ledger out of sync. Final sheet paper inconsistent with era. Source unknown." When the Winslow file was re-examined, a thin soot smear was found at the top right corner. The discoloration did not match oxidation patterns on other files. Forensic ink analysis in 1938 confirmed the trace contained coal ash used exclusively in the Jefferson Courthouse furnace between 1858 and 1874. A maintenance complaint recovered from the 1911 courthouse report states, "We weren't told anything was inside the wall. The thing didn't feel like a box. It bent before it gave. The inside smelled, not like books, like oil after fire." No explanation exists for how the ledger was sealed within a load-bearing wall, 2 feet thick, prior to the structure's completion. But someone placed it there, and someone, before foundation was even laid, had already decided. Compatibility could be suspended, but never concluded. Subjects demonstrating no developmental velocity, absent of illness or disorder, shall remain on holding rosters until such time as mobility or decline justifies reassessment. It was a clause written for no one, yet applied only to her. The clause was quietly removed from procedural statutes in 1866. In 1938, when researchers from the Commonwealth Archive of Public Records attempted to retrieve Ada Winslow's final classification summary, they discovered a thin folder stamped only twice. Not in register. No diagnosis warranted. Inside, a single physician's note had been hastily scrawled into the crease of the cover page. "Still present, but we cannot say where." The archivist who located the file had not been looking for it. He had been cataloging state payroll ledgers from 1894 following ceiling damage to the second-floor archive chamber after a storm. During the resorting of misfiled items from the basement, long flooded and abandoned decades earlier, he opened box M219, which bore no inventory card. Inside was a transfer envelope, filed under the 1855 Reassignment Protocol template. The paper was crisp, unyellowed, unwarped. The ink unfaded despite salvage classification. It bore no watermark, no routing initials, no registry signature. Just a date, October 3rd, 1935, and a single name, Winslow. No given name, no birth year. Only Winslow Return subject, written in block capitals across the header. Below it, a phrase, compatibility cycle incomplete. Where the reassignment address should have been, the form instead read, return to loop. The block letter handwriting did not match any recorded hand in use by the department during the 1930s. More troubling still, the official approval stamp at the bottom bore the mark. Approved. T. Lemley, Regional Supervisor. Thomas Lemley had died of embolism in 1931. His signature had been retired 4 years prior. The stamp bore a 1935 date. Ink analysis later revealed a composition no longer in production since 1899, high carbon residue and bone-based binding glue. In 1957, a confused supervisor attached a memo asking whether the file should be destroyed or escalated. No reply is archived. No notation follows, except one pencil scrawl in Clerks' shorthand at the bottom. If reassigned again, pull oldest first. Do not forward past cycle. The phrase past cycle appears in no departmental lexicon before or after. In 1971, a junior staff archivist attempted to scan the document into microfilm. The feeder jammed. The document's edge was singed during ejection. The maintenance log included a strange entry, feed error, loop detected, page attempted return to tray. In 1974, during system-wide digitization of pre-industrial child welfare cases, a technician flagged one name that appeared 12 times, identically formatted, but with no assigned intake. The name was always the same, Winslow. No first name, no age. Her file number, 31A17443, remained unchanged. But her registry category shifted with each appearance, sometimes listed under in process, other times deferred, once under non-standard containment. Never deceased. The Winslow file bore more clerical revisions than any child processed before 1900, and yet no census listed her, no school enrolled her, no burial recorded her exit. Her age was updated once in 1848, then struck through, then rewritten as C-file, then left blank, a margin note in red, hold status until observation, no initials, no counter-signature. Between 1863 and 1959, her file was physically relocated 117 times. Most children's files were moved once, maybe twice. Winslow's shifted every 3.1 years. No record explained these transfers. No supervisor signed them. Some facilities denied ever receiving the girl, but signed to clear their backlog. A 1925 clerk in Ripley County scribbled in her register, "Here again, no request filed. Let it rest this time." Some believed it a ghost file, a misfiled shell lingering. Others, a placeholder for bureaucratic evasion. But in 1983, during a statewide merge of orphan files, a matching cabinet photograph was discovered. A girl, pale, seated upright, with folded hands, unaged, undisturbed, unduplicated. Exactly like the 1851 Winslow house portrait. Same face, same light. Same absence of time. Attempts to digitize the record failed. In 1993, a metadata migration returned an error. System cycle incomplete. Still processing. In 1999, a microfiche imprint warped with no exposure. Only the horizontal line across the top margin remained. In 2001, the digital folder corrupted every time. The autolog error read, "Awaiting outcome, awaiting outcome, awaiting outcome, no input, no exit, no assigned age, no conclusion." In 2005, the last physical file, unsigned, unnumbered, was placed into a sealed cabinet beneath the Jefferson Archive vault, locked with 2-signature access. One of the keys belongs to a director who no longer works there. On the front of the drawer, etched in shallow relief, was one sentence not found in any previous file. "Do not close the record. She's still being written. She was fostered, returned, reassigned, misfiled, and never released. But in all the archives, nowhere does she die, and in the foundation wall of the Winslow estate, still sealed beneath stone, a ledger remains, with her name, and nothing else. What was she? A child uncounted? A failure of the system? Or something born of it? Fed by forms, moved by clerks, and remembered only when the ink won't fade. This is not a ghost story. This is a story about a system that forgot how to forget, and the girl it never should have processed at all.